Hi, this is Mr. Roix, and I wanted to just finish up these last couple of questions in terms of review for the test. So the question asks for how many grams of hydrogen can be obtained from 35 milliliters of water. Okay, so what we need to know is we need to know that water is going to be, if it's 35 milliliters, the density of water is going to be 1 gram per milliliter. And so if we have 35 milliliters of water, we have 35 grams of water. And so if we're determining how much hydrogen we could obtain from 35 grams of water, how many grams of hydrogen, what we would say is we know that water is H2O, so that means there are 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So what we could do is set this up where if we have 35 grams of H2O, in H2O, there is a total of 18 grams. And that 18 grams is coming from the 2 hydrogen, 1 each of those, and then 16 from the oxygen. And so the total mass is 18. Of that 18, as I mentioned before, 2 grams is hydrogen. So we have 2 grams of hydrogen for every 18 grams of H2O. And so what we'll do is we'll take 35, we'll multiply it by 2, and then we're going to divide it by 18. And what we will end up with for an answer is 3.9 grams of hydrogen. And again, this is based off of the law of definite proportions or constant composition, that the fact that whenever we're dealing with water, it will always be 2 grams of hydrogen for every 18 grams of water. What is the next question? What is the percent of copper sulfate in copper sulfate pentahydrate? Again, as we mentioned in class, that little star there means that there are 5 waters attached to that. So what we have to consider is copper. We're going to round up a little bit, mainly because I don't have my periodic table in front of us. We're going to say it's 63.5, so we'll call it 64. So we'll say copper is 64. The sulfur is 32. And the oxygen is 16. And there are 4 of them. So we need to do 16 times 4, and that's 64. For the water, we already looked from the previous problem that water is 18. And there are 5 waters, so it's going to be 18 times 5, and that comes out to be 90 grams. So if we add this up, 64 plus 32 plus 64 plus 90, we're going to get an answer of 250. So the total mass of the CuSO4 dash 5H2O is going to be 250 grams. And if we're doing percent mass, let's see if I can grab this. Sorry, hang on for a second. We want to take that 250 and we want to divide it by the mass of just the CuSO4. And the mass of the CuSO4 is going to be 64, plus 32 plus 64. So that is going to come out to be 160. So 160 per CuSO4, and then we just divide. And multiply that by 100, so we come out with 0.64. If we multiply it by 100, it is 64% CuSO4. So that's how we do that problem. Next problem, if I weighed out 100 grams of CuSO4, how much would actually be this sample? We kind of talked about this. If it's 100 grams, we can set it up in this ratio. We can say 100 grams of CuSO4, and we could say for every 250 grams of CuSO4, it's 160 grams, the 250 grams of CuSO4 pentahydrate with the 5 waters is 250, and then put that underneath the mass of CuSO4, which is 160 grams. And since it's 100 grams, it's easy. We know that basically we're going to have 64 grams of CuSO4. So that's how we do that problem. If it wasn't 100 grams, we might need to actually use this, or we'd have to multiply by the percentage to get the actual mass. Next question is elemental hydrogen can be obtained from. I think this is the same question we did in class, but again, what we need to do is we need to come up with the mass of this. So it's 12 times 2. There are 5 hydrogens there and 1 hydrogen there. For that's a total of 6 hydrogens. So this is the carbon. This is the hydrogen. And then for oxygen, it's 16. So if we add that all up, this is 24 plus 6 plus 16, right? That's going to be 46. So 46 is the mass of the alcohol, the C2H5OH. All right, and the question is, how much hydrogen can we get from that? From that, hydrogen is 6 out of the 46 grams. So if we set up a dimensional analysis here, we have 150 grams of C2H5OH. Sorry about the dog barking. I don't know if you can hear her. And then it's 6 grams of hydrogen per 46 grams of the C2H5OH. All right, and then if we multiply the 150 grams times 6 divided by 46, we are going to get an answer of 19.6 grams of hydrogen. And that is that question. And the last question is, if a compound contains 29.4% calcium, is it one of these 3? So first of all, is it on the test, I would give you the formulas for this. So calcium cyanide, you would not have to know the formula. It is CaCN2. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'll use the parentheses, but the parentheses are similar to math parentheses because you double everything inside there. So the 2 on the outside means that there are 2 carbons and 2 nitrogens. I'll avoid using parentheses on the test, so you won't have to worry about that. Calcium sulfate, CaSO4, or calcium iodide, CaI2. And again, I will give you these formulas. You wouldn't have to look them up. So you have these 3 formulas. How do you solve for this problem? You set up ratios of calcium to the total mass of the formula. So calcium is 40, carbon is 12, and there's 2 of them. So that comes out to be 24. And nitrogen is 14, and there's 2 of them, so that comes out to be 28. So the total mass of this first formula is going to be 92. Okay, so the CaCN2, that's going to be 92 grams. And what we want to know is the mass of the calcium in there is 40 grams. So it's 40 grams over 92 grams. And we solve. If that matches our 29.4, then this is our compound. All right, and if you divide that, that's not going to come out to 29.4, so we know that it is not this first compound. So this is out. Do the next one. We have calcium again, which is 40, sulfur, which is 32, and then 16 times 4 for the oxygen, and that is going to be 64. So 64 plus 40 plus 32, that's going to give us an answer of 136 grams for the CaSO4. And again, we're going to do 40 grams of calcium because there's one calcium in CaSO4. And if we do 40 divided by 136, that comes out to be 29.4. So that right away, since this equals 0.294, if we multiply by 100, that's 29.4%. All right, and that matches our answer here, or our question, I should say. It matches the question. Our answer matches the question. Just to double check, we'll do this last one. Calcium is 40. Iodine is 127. And there's two of them, so multiply that by 2. So that comes out to be 254 plus the 40. So that's 294. So it's 40 divided by 294. And that is going to be much less than 29%. That's going to come out to be 13.6%. So this is 13.6% calcium. So again, we already knew our answer was the second compound, but we just confirmed that this is not the answer we're looking for. But the CaSO4 is 29.4% calcium. Hopefully that helps you, and we'll see you tomorrow.